I've got this all sanded to about 180. I've actually got it sanded to 120 with the orbital buzzer, but that's the same as 180 with the blue vibrating buzzers, and about the same as 180 by hand with the grain. So now I've got around the binding, around the sound hole. The neck is also sanded. This is sanded to 240. And eventually I'll sand this 180 with an orbital buzzer or 240 with a blue vibrating buzzer. Then it's ready for French polishing. But before I do that, I'll round the binding. Oops. May as well trash the guitar. Now, there's a couple ways to round towards the fingerboard. What I used to do, I don't have a knife. I used to take a knife and make a sharp cut and kind of pare it and have it sharp, rounded sharp against the edge of the fingerboard. But now what I do, I'm just going to draw a line on there. What I do now is just kind of feather it out, just round it and round to it.
What do we do for the next video?
Tighten it up with some trims. Yeah, we're going to do final adjustment.
We need to fit the neck.
We're going to do final adjustment after break, or maybe right after lunch. The guitar should all be pretty much sanded, cleaned up, and finished, and the next two, and then we'll do final adjustment. But we can get most of these final touches done now. In any case, the guitar has to be sanded to 180 or so. So those are my limits there. I can file there. And I'm just going, like I said, I'm just going to blend towards that spot. That little guy now for most of the filing. I'll use this. Well, that thing's getting dull. I've had this file for 30 years. Always understanding with it. So I can go around with the top side of this file. And there are a number of files around the shop that are good for this job. You don't want too fine a file. But there's a bunch that are good. Looks like people have been using this on metal. This is always a nice file. It's just recent. This thing was sharp the last. Yeah, someone's filed metal with this. It's illegal. It is. It's not a metal file. I've got lots of files that are filed with metal, but this isn't metal. It's really dull. I noticed it right away because I've always used this file for binding. Anyway, you go around. Now the waist, you got to use one of these smaller guys. And not the round side, the flat side. You might think you should use the round side, but you'll get it uneven pretty quickly with the round side.
Well, you go in then.
Huh?
You go in with the round side. You make it small, you make it too deep.
Yeah, it just gets uneven. With the flat side, it rides it nicely. Just like a heel, if you're carving this, you use the flat side. With the round side, it becomes like that. Okay, so now with this little guy, I can round the sound hole. Now, because I'm going flush with the inner ring of the rosette, I can round the whole sound hole. And that's the same as what we did on the bottom already. So you can start with this little and again, the flat side. Now I'm using the wrong one. This one's got a sharp, safe edge. I was wondering why I was having trouble. So one of these. Yeah, that's better. That to this one, I ground it so there's a sharp, sharp edge. Couple like that. So I can just file my way around. So you don't even need if you use a file, you can do the whole job with one of these little guys. There should be one at every workstation. You can start with 100 grit paper. I've already filed it quite a bit, so I'll just use 120. But anyway, and right to 240.
So in an angle of 45 degrees, right up to the rosette.
I go pretty much to the rosette, yeah. Anyway, I'll be touching this up some more, but that's basically the job. Got to get the binding, the rosette. Now after this, after I've done all that rounding the binding and the rosette, I'm going to take this and just do one final sanding, just with 240 grit or 180 on an orbital buzzer. What you want to make sure, and I'm pretty sure, is that you don't still have glue along the edge of your binding. Also, any little holes that you see, anything, any little gaps, you fill them. With big gaps, you fill with epoxy or with a bit of dust. But little gaps, you can just fill with thin zap. You don't need anything else, and you don't see that. If you don't have gaps, then of course you don't have to worry. Yeah, so wormholes. Yeah, so you better fill those up. But we don't want to leak through to the inside, though.
Yeah, you can.
So-
You can if you put the light.
Yeah, well then you have to put some
Tape.
masking tape inside,
Yeah.
Okay.
nice and tight.
Okay.
And probably you should use some dust, because if you don't, if you fill it with clear zap, it's going to look fine, except when somebody looks like this, then they're going to be surprised.
Mhm.
The clear zap, they look, what's this? You know? So if you put some dust, that
It's better. Yeah.
and you can use a needle, make sure the zap.
Yeah, because at the moment there is some zap inside.
Yeah, so use a needle, make sure the zap penetrates right. Oh yeah. Yeah, put tape inside.
Okay. Right too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, already put some filling.
Okay.
But that's just clear zap, huh? You didn't put dust?
Yes. Or I don't remember.
Anyway, don't worry.
Okay.
Just fill it up. Okay, that's, what else is, oh yes, there's another option for rounding the binding.